997, 998, 999, 1000. Shirou exclaimed as he was on his last sword swing. He then walked over to one of the benches in the room, grabbed a small towel he picked up earlier, and began to wipe the sweat off his face. Phew, guess I worked up quite a sweat, Shirou thought. Right now, Shirou was in Chaldea's training room, practicing his swordsmanship along with his tracing and projection magecraft. After a few minutes of cleaning himself up, he then continued to work on his swordsmanship. It was then that a certain blue-haired lancer came into the room. "Hey kid," a voice said. Shirou turned around to see Siyu in his usual blue tights and carrying Gibald in his arms. "Siyu. So, you're training here?" he asked. "Yeah. And you?" Shirou replied. "Same as well. And if anything, I would rather train here than train with my teacher." Siyu muttered. "HM? Did you say something?" "Ah. It's something you don't need to know about." Shirou shrugged off from what Siyu just said and continued practicing his swordsmanship. As he kept swinging his sword, Siyu noticed his swordsmanship swings and thought, "Wow. The kid has improved ever since the last time I fought him. Before, he wasn't even able to swing even a pipe properly, and now, he's able to actually use a sword like a real swordsman." And this gave Siyu a certain idea. He then came over to Shirou, who was busy with swinging his sword around, and said, "Hey kid, spar with me now." Shirou stopped his training regime for a moment and said, "What?" "You heard me. Spar with me now," Siyu repeated. "And why?" "Because I said so. Now get yourself ready." Shirou sighed as he knows that he can't accept no as answer, so he said, "All right. Let's do it in the arena over there." Siyu smiled. "Good," he said as he was twirling his spear in excitement. Both Shirou and Siyu then left the center of the training area and went to the arena inside the room. Shirou set himself up in a defensive position, holding his sword. On the other side of the training area, Siyu set himself up in a forward stance as his legs were parted and he held on to Gibald. "Ready?" "As I'll ever be." "Well then, don't mind if I attack first." Siyu yelled out as he lunged forward to where Shirou was. Siyu then raised his spear upwards and attacked Shirou, but Shirou blocked his spear strike with his katana. He then kicked Siyu backwards and proceeded to head forward while Siyu was recovering from Shirou's kick. Shirou then tried to slash Siyu, but Siyu blocked his strike with his spear. Siyu then set some distance between him and Shirou by pushing him backwards. Siyu then proceeded to strike at Shirou, but Shirou blocked his strike with a strike of his own. They then unleashed a fury of slashes against each other and then went into a defensive position after their dance of strikes. "Man, the kid definitely has improved since the last time I fought him. Wonder if this is all he can do," Siyu thought. After a few minutes of doing nothing but staying in their defensive positions, Siyu then said something to Shirou. "You know, you've improved than the last time I saw you," Siyu said. "I'll take that as a compliment then," Shirou replied. "But, is that all you got? Just that sword in your hand?" "Not that I'm complaining or anything. I'm just wondering that if I have anything up on my sleeve?" Shirou finished. Siyu flashed a toothy grin. "Yup." Shirou sighed. "Well, if you say so, s." Haru then sheathed his katana and raised his hands. At first, Siyu was confused, wondering what was Shirou up to. Then Shirou's next words completely gave him a surprise. "Trace on." In an instant, Kancho and Bakuya appeared in Shirou's hands, surprising Siyu. And he was assuming Emiya's pose as well. What the hell? Aren't those weapons the ones Archer uses? How the hell did the kid was able to obtain them? What's more, even he's in the same posture as him. "Hey Siyu, what's wrong?" Shirou said, snapping Siyu out of his thoughts. Kid, just where did you get those swords? Siyu asked. Let's just say, Archer gave me advice on how to beat an enemy. I see. Siyu muttered. Well then, this could be interesting. He thought before he decided to lunge himself at Shirou. However, instead of defending like before, Shirou used Archer's tactics and baited Siyu into attacking him by letting his guard down. Siyu then saw an opening and attacked him, but Shirou saw his attack, turned around swiftly with a twist, and slashed him in the abdomen. Siyu gathered all his skills and reflexes to dodge Shirou's attack. Luckily, the wound wasn't deep. What the hell? Not only the kid has Archer's weapons and stance, but he also has his technique? Seriously, are they related or something? Siyu thought as he was trying to process what just happened. After a few seconds, Siyu asked, Hey kid, you intentionally let that opening, didn't you? Shirou responded with a smile, annoying Siyu even further. Great! Even he acts similar to him. However, at the time, this fight was actually intriguing him even further. But, considering how he was the last time I saw him, he's definitely improved, and this is actually fun. Siyu let out a toothy grin. Hey kid, you're actually making this mock battle a lot fun than I ever expected. Why thank you. And I suppose you want to continue? Shirou asked, while assuming Emiya's signature pose once again. Siyu smirked. Well, I wish I could, but it feels like we'll have to continue this another time. He said as he relaxed a bit. Shirou was confused. However, at that moment, 3 other servants came into the training room. Hey Lancer me. What are you up to this time? TCH. This is a pain in the ass. Hey, older me. What's going on? Shirou and Siyu stopped their fight and looked around to see where the voices came from. As they turned around, they saw 3 figures coming from the doorway. And those figures were Caster Siyu and Berserker Siyu. Siyu. By any chance? Yes kid. Over there is my Caster, Proto, and Berserker version of myself. I see, wait, Caster version of you? Proto as well? Shirou asked as he was surprised. Yeah. I know, I was surprised as well that there's a Caster version of me as well, let alone a Proto version of me as well. And for the record, the Proto version of me is based on me when I was young. Wow, no offense, but I'm thinking Caster class doesn't fit you. Hey man, even I'm not so sure about this either, Caster Siyu said as he was walking towards where Shirou and Lancer Siyu were. So, who's the kid? Yeah. Never seen this kid before, Berserker Siyu said. Me neither, Proto Siyu said. Shirou twitched a little. Great, even the Caster and Berserker versions calls me that too. Oh yeah. This is the kid I was talking about. Remember? The one that I failed to kill 3 times? Siyu said to his alternate versions. Is that so? Caster Siyu said as he glanced at Shirou. He doesn't seem to be that much to me. Yeah, he looks a bit weak to me, Berserker Siyu said. Now, don't judge a book by its cover. Remember the lesson Shirou would give us? Proto Siyu said. Both Lancer, Caster, and Berserker Siyu covered their heads with their hands in response to Proto Siyu's words. Don't remind me of them. Caster Siyu said nervously. Yeah, I don't want to experience that again. Berserker Siyu nervously. Me neither. Lancer Siyu said. Shirou looked at the scene in surprise. Just what kind of teacher did Siyu and his alternate versions had to make them like this? Anyways, what brought you 2 here? Lancer Siyu asked. For training obviously, Caster and Proto Siyu replied. And judging by the looks of things, you seem to be getting your ass kicked by the kid, Berserker Shirou said. Lancer Shirou scoffed and got a little annoyed. Well, try saying that after you fight against him. And why? Because he seems awfully similar to Archer. Too similar, I might say. Both Caster and Berserker Shirou was surprised by his statement. Really? They asked while Proto Shirou didn't know what was going on. Yeah. In fact, why don't you three of you go against him? Wait. Don't I get to have a say in this? Shirou asked. No, they all said in unison. Great. This is not how I want this day to go, wish Arturia was here. Shirou thought as he sulked in defeat. Alright. Who wants to go first? Lancer Shirou asked. Proto Shirou smirked. I call dibs first. I need a workout after all, he said as he got onto the arena. Damn it. Well, I call second then. You okay with this Berserker me? Caster Shirou said. Berserker Shirou let out a moan. As long as I get to fight him, I don't care about the order. Alright then, let the match begin. Lancer Shirou said as he got off the arena. In an instant, Proto Shirou immediately lunged at Shirou with Gibalg in his hands, pulling off a trust. Shirou immediately dodged that with his body turning to the side and struck him on the side. TCH. Proto Shirou said as he brought some distance between him and Shirou. Shirou lunges at him with his swords, ready to strike him. However, he intercepted the strike with one end of his spear and sees an opening. He then takes advantage of the short distance between him and Shirou to attack with the other end of the spear. However, that opening was a trap. Shirou blocked the spear and deflected it, hoping to land a hit on Proto Shirou's shoulder. However, Proto Shirou moved his body and brought some distance between him and Shirou. Proto Shirou was puzzled. He has never fought against this type of fighting style before, and it was confusing him. What kind of fighting style was that? I'm not sure if this guy is a swordsman or a kid, but the fighting style he uses is suicidal. And yet, I haven't been able to hit him, he thought as positioned himself to his usual stance. After Shirou positioned himself in his usual stance as well, Proto Shirou asked Shirou a question. Hey kid. Who taught you that fighting style? And why do you want to know? Shirou replied. No reason. Shirou sighed before saying his answer. Let's just say, I self-taught it myself. I see. Proto Shirou said. Anyways, here I come. In a moment, Proto Shirou was on the offense in a flash, forcing Shirou to block his attacks as Proto Shirou kept assaulting him in a rush. However, this is where. Meanwhile, Lancer Shirou, Caster Shirou, and Berserker Shirou were watching the fight with interest. So that's the kid you failed to kill 3 times, Lancer me? Caster Shirou asked. Yup, Lancer Shirou replied. Was he always this strong when you met him? Berserker Shirou asked. Lancer Shirou let out a chuckle. Nope. Both his caster and berserker counterparts looked at him in confusion. What? They said in unison. Yeah. In fact, the first time I failed to kill him, I stabbed him in the heart with Gibalg. There was even blood there as well. However, some girl who happened to be nearby revived him. The second time I tried to kill him, he at least put up a fight or so. And what happened? Lancer Shirou sighed. He apparently summoned a servant, interrupting the whole thing. Yeah. Anyways, the third time I tried to kill him, it was a complete repeat of the first time I killed him. And that was the last time I ever saw him. Both Caster and Berserker Shirou were surprised at Lancer's story. But still though, the fact that the kid I tried to kill 3 times before grew up to be something like this, it just baffles me. Lancer Shirou said as he was watching the fight. Meanwhile, at the fight, Proto-Seiyu was having trouble trying to keep up with Shirou's unorthodox fighting style. He has tried to land a hit on him, but has failed to do so. Meanwhile, Shirou has landed a few hits on him. Geez. It's already this long in the match, and yet I can't even get a hit on him. Just what kind of person is this saber-class servant is? Proto-Seiyu thought. Man, this fight is taking a bit too long. I may need to finish this. Shirou thought. In an instant, both servants decided to finish the fight and positioned themselves in an offensive stance. Well, it seems like both of us have the same idea, Proto-Seiyu said. It seems so, Shirou replied. Proto-Seiyu grinned. Don't hold back. Likewise, Shirou replied. In an instant, Proto-Seiyu immediately lunged at Shirou in a flash, hoping to hit him with him even noticing. However, Shirou immediately saw that coming. At the last moment before the spear was so close to touching his body, Shirou span his body around so that he would be behind Proto-Seiyu and struck him down in the back with Kancho and Bakuya. Proto-Seiyu then fell to the arena floor from the impact of the attack. See? Told you? Lancer Seiyu said. Wow. This may be interesting. Caster Seiyu said. Berserker Seiyu didn't say anything. At the arena, Proto-Seiyu was trying to get up after being hit from Shirou's attack. You okay over there? Shirou asked as he lended a hand to Proto-Seiyu. Yeah, I'll be fine, but thanks for asking. Great fight by the way, Proto-Seiyu said as he grabbed Shirou's hand to get up from the ground. As he was getting off the arena, he said a piece of advice to his caster counterpart. Be careful of him. This guy's fighting style is suicidal apparently. Caster Seiyu grinned. I'll take that in mind, he said as he was getting onto the arena. As he got onto the arena, he looked at Shirou and said, Ready? Yeah. Well then, don't mind if I do. Instantly, Caster Seiyu spanned his staff around and stabbed the ground with it, creating a spell of fire that flew straight at Shirou. Shirou quickly dodged it and lunged himself at Caster Seiyu while at the same time projecting multiple copies of Kancho and Bakuya at him and started throwing them at him. What the heck? My Lancer version was right. This kid is like Archer. In fact, the resemblance between the two is uncanny for the most part. Caster Seiyu thought as he spun his staff around to block the multiple swords aiming at him. Shirou then used that as an opportunity and tried to disarm Caster Seiyu, but Caster Seiyu was fast, jumped backwards, and placed his hand on the ground to create a rune. The rune then created a wall of flame that went straight after Shirou. Shirou dodged the wall of flame, created more copies of Kancho and Bakuya, and threw it at Caster Seiyu again. However, this is where Caster Seiyu had enough of Shirou's constant spamming of Kancho and Bakuya copies and placed his hand onto the ground. During that moment, he created a giant rune. Grand scale, he yelled out. At that moment, the copies of Kancho and Bakuya disappeared before they could touch Caster Seiyu. And not only that, but the giant rune hasn't disappeared. Sorry kid, but this rune completely disables any long-range attacks. It won't do any good to shoot each other at long-range distances. So, let's go all out and do this the old-fashioned way. Caster Seiyu said as he twirled his staff around and went into Lancer Seiyu's stance. Shirou let out a chuckle as he observed the rune. Judging from the earlier attacks, and this giant rune, I take it you fought against Archer before? Caster Seiyu let out a grin. Yup. And unlike my Lancer version over there, I actually won. Lancer Seiyu scowled a bit. At least you didn't have a cowardly master. He muttered. Shirou sighed. Well then, if Archer's tactics aren't going to work on him, then I'll have to change styles then. Shirou then unsheathed his katana from the scabbard and positioned himself into a defensive position. After a few seconds of silence, Caster Siyu lunged himself at Shirou as he set his staff on fire. Caster Siyu then swung his burning staff at Shirou while Shirou kept countering it with his katana. Both servants were swinging their weapons at each other, neither of them backing down. I got to admit, this kid's actually pretty good. Geez. Despite being a caster class servant, he still acts like his lancer counterpart. Eventually, both Shirou and Caster Siyu decided to separate themselves from one another. You want to know something, kid? What? Caster Siyu smiled. You're actually making this a lot fun than I hoped for. Well, thank you. Yeah. To be honest, I was hoping to continue this a bit longer, but I have a feeling that my berserker counterpart would probably barge in, so I'm going to end this once and for all, Caster Siyu said as he positioned himself for a final attack. Shirou smirked. For once, I agree, he said as he positioned himself for a final attack as well. After a few seconds of silence, both servants proceeded to lunge at each other with their weapons in their hands, swinging at each other. In a flash, their weapons met each other, and within that moment, they crossed paths with their weapons drawn. For a moment, nothing happened. Then suddenly, Caster Siyu started laughing. Ha 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 ha. Kid, you sure are interesting. Never have I ever fought a fight like this, he said with laughter. Yeah, and you still fight like your lancer counterpart, with a few differences. Caster Siyu chucked at Shirou's statement. I'm not sure to either be annoyed or angry at what you just said, kid, but I don't care right now. Because this fight was satisfying. Anyways, I'm going to be leaving for now, so have fun with my berserker counterpart, he said as he left the arena, allowing Berserker Siyu to have his fun. Guess it's my turn, huh? Berserker Siyu said as he went up to the arena and then positioned himself in Lancer Siyu's stance. Meanwhile, Shirou did the same and positioned himself in a defensive stance. Ready, he said. As I'll ever be, he said. After a few seconds of silence, Shirou and Berserker Siyu charged at each other. Berserker Siyu thrusted his spear at Shirou, in which Shirou dodged and tried to slash him. However, Berserker Siyu was too fast for that and countered Shirou's strike. As Shirou and Berserker Siyu were dodging and exchanging strikes, Shirou noticed that unlike his Lancer and Caster counterparts, Berserker Siyu didn't show any emotion in his fighting style. Well, this is weird. I haven't seen this Siyu show any emotion in this fight, unlike his counterparts. He thought as he blocked an attack from his spear. Hey kid, don't get distracted on small things. Eh? Shirou said before he got hit by Siyu's tail. The impact temporarily brought him down as he fell to the ground before getting up quickly. Oh yeah. He has that tail of his. Speaking of which, how did know about what was going on in my head, he thought. Shirou then quickly redirected his mind towards the fight he was in and assumed in an offensive position. Meanwhile, Berserker Siyu did the same. This kid, although he may be a bit soft in some areas, he's actually not that bad. I can see why my Lancer, Proto, and Caster counterparts would have some fun fighting him earlier. Berserker Siyu thought as he lunged forwards at Shirou while Shirou did the same. As the two clashed each other with their weapons, Siyu then began to start an onslaught of strikes as he kept swinging at Shirou with his spear. However, Shirou countered his swings with his own and the two were striking at each other. Eventually, the two got tired of this and jumped backwards towards opposite sides of the arena. For a moment, there was silence between the two as they were in defensive positions, waiting to either strike or the opponent strike first. You know, you're not half bad, Berserker Siyu said. Why thank you, Shirou replied. But you know, I'm getting bored of that sword of yours. I mean, come on, do what you did to my caster counterpart from earlier, well, before he unleashed that rune. Well, if you say so, Shirou said. As he raised his hands and was performing his magecraft, he thought of a weapon that would surprise Berserker Shirou and his counterparts. Trace on. As he said his aria, a weapon appeared in his hands. And it surprised Berserker Shirou and his counterparts. It was Gibalg. At that moment, Lancer Shirou, Caster Shirou, and Berserker Shirou were shocked to see Gibalg in Shirou's hands. After all, it was a weapon handed to them by Scathach, the queen of the Land of Shadows. And Shirou just replicated it easily. Not only that, but he also assumed into the same pose as Lancer Shirou, Proto Shirou, Caster Shirou, and Berserker Shirou were. What the hell? That's Gibalg. How the hell did the kid manage to obtain it? What's more, he's even copying my fighting stance as well. He's ripping me off. Was that Gibalg? Impossible. How can he summon it so easily? And out of nowhere, netherless. What's more, how did he acquire it? You got to be kidding me. Not only he can copy swords, but he can copy spears as well? Geez, this kid is full of surprises. Speaking of which, I need to ask him for a copy of Gibalg later. What the hell, did the kid just replicate Gibalg? Geez, this kid is crazy. Speaking of which, I should not tell Shirou about this kid, or else he'll kill him, or even worse. Well, what's wrong? Shirou asked, snapping them out of their thoughts. Hey kid, did you project that? Berserker Shirou asked. Yeah. Why? You're mad about it? Well yeah, but honestly, I don't care, as long as the fight's good. I see, well then, here I come, Shirou said as he lunged himself at Berserker Shirou with great speed. As so, Shirou blocked his first strike. However, what happened next completely caught Berserker Shirou by surprise. Shirou was copying his moves in the encounter. Every strike Shirou used on him was a complete copy of what Shirou would do, nevertheless which version. Each strike, parry, guard, thrust, anything was a complete copy of what each Shirou would do. During this exchange of blows and strikes, Berserker Shirou was feeling something he had never felt in a while. The joy of fighting someone. And for once, Berserker Shirou was grinning. This fight isn't so bad after all. Rather, I'm actually enjoying this. Berserker Shirou thought as he was defending against Shirou's moves. Eventually, Berserker Shirou had enough of Shirou's onslaught of strikes and kicked him to get some distance. After a few seconds of silence from the two, Berserker Shirou said something to Shirou. Kid, you're actually making this a lot fun than what I expected. Thank you. Although I hope I didn't make you and your counterparts mad that I copied your fighting style. Relax. I'm used to it, considering that I have multiple versions of myself and we learned this fighting style from our Shirou. I see. However, there is one thing I should warn you about. And what is it? Berserker Shirou gulped before answering his question. Don't show this to Shirou. I have a bad feeling about it if she finds out about this. Shirou was confused, but he nodded anyways. Anyways, let's finish this, Berserker Shirou said as he positioned himself in an offensive stance. Shirou nodded and positioned himself in an offensive stance. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then they lunged at themselves with their weapons drawn. And in a flash, their weapons crossed paths with each other. Both sides were at opposite ends when the clash was over. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Berserker Shirou let out a chuckle. Hey kid, you made this day quite interesting, he said while twirling his spear around. Shirou let out a sigh. So, I take it that you were satisfied then? Yup. Anyway, I got to go now. See you kid, he said as he left the arena and the training room. Shirou let out another sigh of relief before feeling a slap on the back from Lancer Shirou. Hey kid! That was a nice battle over there. Although I'll admit, I am a little annoyed that you copied my spear and posture when using it, Lancer Siyu said cheerfully. Kid, you sure have surprised me today, Proto Siyu said with a grin. I'll admit kid, I didn't expect that coming out of you, Caster Siyu said with a smile. Why, thank you, Shirou said as he was recovering from Lancer Siyu's hard slap. By the way, can you lend me a copy of Gibalg later? Caster Siyu asked Shirou hopefully. Shirou was confused. Why? Because I missed my spear. Caster Siyu replied with a sigh. Oh make. Scat was walking down Chaldea's hallways, minding her own business. It was when that she overheard Siyu and his alternate versions talking about something in one of the recreation rooms. Or rather, a certain someone. Did you see what the kid just did? Lancer Siyu said. Yeah. Not only the kid completely gave us a good fight, but he even managed to scratch me. Caster Siyu replied. And there's the fact that he managed to replicate Gibalg. Berserker Siyu said. Shoo. Keep it down. What if Shirou manages to overhear us? Proto Siyu said in warning. Relax. That would be impossible. Shirou wouldn't be around here this time of day, Lancer Siyu said in confidence. And who wouldn't be around here? Scat said from the corner of the hallway. At that moment, Lancer Siyu, Proto Siyu, Caster Siyu, and Berserker Siyu jumped in fear of hearing their teacher's voice. SSS Shirou, they said in unison. Scat then came into the room. So, what's this I've been hearing about someone copying Gibalg? Huh, she asked in a menacing voice. Well, it's sort of a Lancer Siyu stutteringly said. Answer me, Scat said authoritatively while menacingly at the same time with her hands crossed. Lancer Siyu, Proto Siyu, Caster Siyu, and Berserker Siyu slumped their heads in defeat and prepared themselves for the interrogation that was about to come. Crap, I think we screwed the kid over. They thought in unison.